New day's started, and we're doing something different today. We're down here again. This is literally down the road from where I live, so it's not far. That's why I've come here. It's easy, shall we say. You can see the car's fixed. I picked up a new brake line, thanks to Guernsey Motor Spares for sorting that out real quick. They knocked one up real quick for me, and I picked up some brake pads there as well while I was at it, and fitted it all, and now we're back on the roads, and the brakes are brilliant. So there you go. Now I did go out in the boat yesterday, although I probably won't show any of that because it was rubbish basically. We went fishing for bass, we didn't catch anything. We tried for pollock. I eventually caught 2, but they weren't the biggest, and I had to go for some mackerel. Had a few mackerel, like 10, but again it's nothing really for a video more than that. The one problem I had is I was catching those fish because I needed some bait for my crab pots, and I couldn't get any. So today we have come down here and we're going to catch, or attempt to catch, Ballan Wrasse. Now I'm catching it mostly for bait for the pots, because it is one of the best baits you can get for pots for catching lobster. One of the main reasons is it lasts well. You put it in the pot, it'll last sort of 3-4 days. You don't need to go out like mackerel. It literally gets destroyed overnight. I mean, crabs will pick at it and that's the end of it. It doesn't last very well at all, and it goes funny as well. It gets a funny, I think, smell to it, and the lobsters just don't go after it after that. But anyway, I've got some crab in here. You'll see these are velvet spoon crab. I've got them in a little bit of water because they do die if they're left out of water very, very quickly. The water should be right to keep them for just walking down there. But it doesn't matter now, and if they do die, they're going to die anyway if we use them for bait. So I just had to keep them from yesterday, because when I was out in the boat I thought I'll get some bait, and let me just check I didn't leave my lights on, because I did that once and that wasn't good. Yeah, everything's off, I think. Yep. Yeah, I decided to get the bait, and it was coming up to the sort of high tide, so I couldn't get any bait from the shore. So I decided to keep some lady crabs out the pots, because they will eat crab, what we're fishing for. I'm just going to nip down. There's a little part of the beach down here. I'm just going to see if there's any sort of shore crab. Shore crab's usually pretty good. It's not quite as hard as the or spiky as this stuff. Just see if I can get to it, because the idea was, I thought I'm not going to be able to get to the shore crab with the high tide, and this place here, when it's not very big tide, you can't get to the worm or the crab on the shore very well here, because it's more of a cliff mark, so you don't find a lot of shore crab here. It's not the sort of place I'd normally go. I could have driven off down to a beach somewhere, but that would have just made me have to drive off quite a ways, because where I live is all sort of cliff area. So decided not to do that. Like I say, I mean, we've probably got enough with this bucket, but you know, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of worm, because worm will pick up the wrasse really quickly. It won't pick up necessarily the biggest, but you'll get a lot of sort of medium size. You'll get small as well, but medium, large is what we're kind of after. But like I say, I do need to get some for bait. So now I'm just trying to think which is the easiest way. I think I can't get around that way on this tide. No, I'm going to have to go up and over. God, I haven't done this for a while. Right, I'll switch off and I'll be back when we get to the beach. Right, I made it down here. You see, I just left my gear up there because there's no point carrying the rods and that down here because we're not fishing here. So this is the sort of ground you're looking for. How well we'll do here, I don't know. I know that the ragworm spawned quite a while back, and when they spawn, I think it's all the males die, so you don't get so many after that. But it's been a couple of months. So we should be right. Should be more. It's not the sort of the best place to find it. Like I say, it's just the fact that it's actually down here, so you can actually get some if I was going to properly go fishing for something else, like a night's fishing, I'd definitely go down a beach somewhere and get it rather than here. But like I say, when you haven't got any or you can't be bothered to go to the beach. Right, I did bring down a little Tupperware box as well. Couldn't find one of my normal plastic ones, so I had to bring this thing. So what we're looking for, let me get that out of the way. What we're looking for is, you'll see under here, I pull some stones up. You see it's stony, but what we're looking for are the trails. Now, normally I'd go down there more, but obviously the tide's it's not a very big tide, so it's not going down very far or up. I'll try a bit more this way, because that's just from years ago. I used to come down here a lot, and I'm kind of just remembering these sort of little hot spots where the worms might have been. Certain areas, you know, you'll get more than others. Let's have a look in here. What I'm going to do is clear out some of these. We might even find, like I say, some shore crab in here, which should be useful. But you don't tend to get a lot in these rock marks because there's a lot of rockfish and they get eaten. And it's tough in here in the winter, or I say the winter when these storms come. So I'm not seeing many trails at the moment. I think we'll just go in here and see if we can find something. Right, I'll start digging and we'll be back in a minute because it's a bit awkward filming and digging. I've just dug down here and got a stone out with my trusty tool. I put a big handle on this. It's quite strong, narrow one, strong. Makes a great little digging tool, and this is what I'm after. Apart from the crab, I've got a crab in there, small one, is this. It's like a red ragworm or rock ragworm, whatever you want to call it. I've got big nasty teeth on here. I'll say teeth, it's fangs, like fangs that come out their heads. Oh. Yeah, he's not gonna. I'll show you another one if we get it. Normally, they, like I say, all the time when you grab hold of them, their fangs will come out. And all you do basically is go through this sort of stony rock, digging it away. Let me just check this edge first. Usually they're down the edges of the rocks. Right. And what you do is you start off, make a hole, and then you just sort of work your way back through it, backfilling, and finding what you can find. There's a hole there, I can see it from a worm, but sometimes they go so deep you just won't get them. Other times you'll get them. There's one. It's not the biggest, but it'll do. Like I say, the wrasse will take any size worm really. There's another one. There we go, that's what we're after. Like I say, I'm just going to grab, I don't know, if I can get let me put a bit of weed in there so that crab's got something to crawl around on. This stuff is normally what we'd keep the worm in as well. It's just like green weed that grows on the rocks. You see it over there. So you just grab a bit of that, and the worms will go through that. That'll actually keep worms for quite a few days if you keep them cool in the fridge, even a week or two. You just got to watch you don't leave broken tails in there, because they will die and cause your other worms to die, obviously. So I've got a couple in there. Like I say, I'm going to hopefully fish more with the crab, but because I want to get the bigger wrasse, but you know, you can't always guarantee there will be bigger wrasse there. And that little, you see the crab we had like the other day, the 5 pounder, there's one there, look, little baby one. Not quite 5 pound though. Pop him in the sea, there he goes, right, he doesn't get squished anymore. This seems to be a little bit more of a hot spot. When you find one or two, normally there's, you know, when you start finding them, there you get areas of them. Just move this rock, see if we can get any crab as well. There's another one there. I'll take him. Like I say, because we are bit sketchy for bait today, apart from those big crab I got, but I don't know if they're going to be too hard. I think they'll be fine, but not for the big wrasse anyway. I think I'll leave that open. You don't, like I say, tend to find a lot of shore crab here, or particularly big ones. Like I say, I think they get eaten. They start growing up here, then once they get big enough, the fish come and eat them. Right. Let's move that one, and I can see then if there's any trails. You can always see the trails near the surface where they come up to the surface and stick their heads out. That, if you can see it, that's a worm trail right there. See how it comes up to the surface? It has like a lining. See if we can find him. Because what you're trying to do as well while you're digging is you're trying to dig the worm without actually breaking the worm. If you run into it, you'll obviously break them very easily. And you always grab them by the head. If you grab them by the tail, they will break. And the head's the bit that bites as well, just so you know. There's one there. There he is. There he is. Well, we've got about 6. Get another 6 and we'll be good. And there's a proper size one. Right there. Look at that. A penny. There's a saying, find a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck. Let's find out if we have good luck. Right, we're back up from the bait. Now we're just going to go down there. Well, that makes things a little bit more awkward. Some bobbers over there now. Normally I cast for that one is with a, because I brought a spinning rod as well for see if there's any mackerel. I just hope that's pots and not a net, because there's another one over there. And over here quite often they use bobbers on nets instead of flags, which is a right pain in the ass because it doesn't tell you if it's a net or not, obviously. But there's a set further over as well, so I would assume they're probably pots, because being there's several of them, why would you put so many nets out? I mean, this isn't the area that you're going to catch a lot of fish apart from rockfish. Plus it trashes your net after a while, putting in all the weed and rocks. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to fish for the rockfish down there, so that's not a problem. And I can still try and cast, although I might end up catching ropes, so we'll see. So we've brought down a spinning rod, just a carbon rod with a fixed spool on. This one we're putting a multiplier on. This is just an old, well, they call this a pier rod, but it's actually just more of a boat rod, to be honest. Just an old multiplier. This is an old 6500 Ambassador. Not that that makes any difference to me, because at the end of the day it's the fisherman who catches the fish. If you think your gear's going to catch you more fish, well, good luck with that one. It may help you get further, like with beach casters in sort of specific areas, but if you know what you're doing, you should be able to catch fish on pretty much anything, even a bamboo stick. Right, I'll leave all the rods and reels to the salesman. Right, let's see what we've got. So, tackle wise, look, that's my tackle bag. Again, we've got our hooks. We've got sort of smaller hooks for the wrasse. We've got some big ones in case there's anything bigger that sort of turns up. Swivels, beads, that's pretty much it. We've got some spools of line, like just trace line, and some thin one for breakaway, which I think is about 12 pounds, so I can snap free if we hitch the bottom. We've got, get down here, weights, just a selection of, those are the mist casts, some of the ones we make. And got our bait, which we collected there, you can see there, we've got worms in there. And for the spin rod, just a selection of spinners. We've got I think it's a Dexter's wedge something. I've never actually caught anything on this. Gave it a coat of paint because it was looking pretty rough. This is just this is lead head I made up with a little plastic pipe that'll catch, and just a spinner. These work. These are pretty basic things which work quite well. I just gave it a coat of paint on one side. It's still got the silver on the other. You can see I actually found this one I think in the rocks, but it has caught before, that one, so I know that works. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I got a spool here which has got 15-pound line on it. It's thinner than the one that's on there. I'll change it over for the spinning with those light lures. And that's pretty much it, I think, for my bag. I think the only thing left is a tape measure, just for measuring, just make sure their size, or just checking sizes really. Like I say, this is, you know, years ago when I was younger, I used to carry loads of gear, you know, like your tackle box, you got your shiny new swivels, you got your spinners. I mean, you're proud of all this stuff, you know, especially when you're a kid. And had all this gear, but like they say, all the gear and no idea, but you don't use half of it. Later on, when you know what you're fishing for, what you're going for, you don't need really loads of tackle. Some instances you may do if you're fishing over area which has got a multitude of species that you don't really know what you're going to go for. But I know exactly what we're going for. We're going for rockfish, so I've got the gear for that. I've got a spin rod for the mackerel. That's all I need. And I mean, I've got the spin. I mean, that'll pick up. The only other thing I might add to this box here is a plug or a wobbler, and that's just in case there's any bass turn up. And usually I carry one of those, but I know this area really doesn't do much in the way of bass, and I'm not really after bass anyway today. Like I say, I'm purely after rockfish and maybe spinning for a bit of mackerel, because that's just fun. Right, I'm going to get set up and then we'll be back when we start fishing. Right, so the setup we're going to be using is like a paternoster style thing. It's just you've got two swivels. This is the rig I normally use for most things. Single swivel there, clip swivel there, and the clip swivel goes to your hook. Now I'm going to have to change that trace already. There's some damage on it. It must have been stood on or something. Yeah, so I use two swivels like this with a bead. The bead's just to stop it damaging the knot, but it doesn't matter. It's more so jamming in the knot and twisting up. So that goes down to your weight. You put a thinner line on here, obviously, to break away if you get stuck in the bottom, or the rockfish pulls you around the bottom. Stronger trace. This is 25, I think, on here. You can go a bit stronger if you want for rockfish. Rockfish are very powerful, so if you're going for the really big ones, I'd go sort of even up to 30 odd pound. I think the main's about 30. And just a bait holder hook like that. Again, I'd use bigger hooks for the bigger rockies, but this will do, because like I say, we are after sort of medium to large. And yeah, that's it. Basic as. Now I use a clip swivel to the hook just for ease to unhook quickly, so I can get the trace off. Now this stems as well from doing bassing at night, because I bass with this rig. When you're in the dark and you're putting a trace on, you know which one to put the trace onto if you're changing out your traces, because sometimes you can pre-bait hooks so you can get your trace changed over quickly. Originally I used two clips, and once I put it on here and it just slid up the line. I didn't see it in the dark. I caught actually a fish on it, but it was just a weird catch. So yeah, that's the only reason I do that. But you can do it with two normal swivels or two clips. It's entirely up to you. You don't even need the bead if you don't want. Just make your swivels a different size so they don't jam on the knot. Right, just going to change this trace line because I'm not happy with that. For some reason it's got some damage on it already. Oh, and I forgot that. That's in my bag as well. I found those. Actually, I've found several of these over the years. Really useful. Just a little pair of scissors cuts the line quite nicely to tight to the knot, and you can cut squid with it and stuff. Okay, there we go. That's it. Wait, hook, worm. Now, you can use nuts and bolts or anything you like for this. Probably better, because when you're rock fishing in heavy kelp, you will lose weights, and you will lose a lot of weights. So at least with something made of steel, it will just rust away and back into the environment, unlike lead. But that's up to you. Right, let's put this out. I'm thinking over there somewhere. Over there. The thing with rock fishing is best if you can, in heavy ground, if you can almost drop straight down. If you've got to cast across, you run the risk of getting snagged up. But here we've got to get over a little bit of a ledge and that. Alright, we don't really need drag unless we get a real monster, because you need to haul them out if you can. And we've got 30-pound line on. So. Is there going to be any rockfish here? This is the question. So I just put some crab on just to send some scent out, and we're getting a bite. Still got a little bit of worm on as well. Give it time to take it. Hopefully if it takes the crab, the worm will still be on the hook and it will finish that off. But we don't know how big the fish is. It might be a little fish. Oh, it might have got the bait. It's the only thing with crab, they crunch it off, spit the hook. Let's find out. Yeah. Yep. See how they do that? That was crab and worm. Crunched it all up, spat the hook. Right, so what we'll do is we'll bait up again. We'll try just crab this time. I know they can crunch the crab off quite easily, but it's one of these things that you need to, if you're fishing rockfish regularly, you'd know the timing to strike. But I'm just going to hook it like that. Leave that hook exposed. So I'm thinking that was a fairly sized wrasse then, because to take the bait that quick, it would have had to have been. Right, let's go straight back to the same sort of area. Chuck it out and I'll swing it in a bit, just so I'm not disturbing above where the fish was. That'll do, right about there. Like I say, if I took the time to climb down the cliffs, some of the old places I used to go at, quite a bit further around than here, you throw a bit of bait like this in the water and you wouldn't give it more than about 10 seconds before something was on it. Used to be able to catch a lot of rockfish. I actually weighed once, one session I went rock fishing, and I had 86 pound of rockfish. The biggest fish I think were around 6.5 pounds on that particular day. But here, like I say, you've got boats behind us, so there is quite a lot of fishing activity going on here. Right, we're getting bites again. It's only been like a minute or so. That was definitely a bite. I had 2 good solid thumps. Now I think we're dealing with a fairly large fish, because you get like a couple of bites or not very many bites and it's cleaning the bait, but it's kind of taking the bait off without you noticing it. And the big fish do that. You'll find the smaller ones, they rattle the rod more, and you'll get like this crazy biting. But with the bigger fish, they tend to be a lot less noticeable. Let's try a worm, and I'm going to stick one of these small crabs on. We've got the shore crab, because that'll crunch up really easy. But do is I'll kill the crab first. If you want to kill a crab quickly, just pull the carapace off. I'll try that. It's a nice little bait. It's concealed the hook quite nicely, so that might do the trick. If this doesn't work, I might have to change to sort of more of a chemically sharpened hook. Although I don't like that idea, because they are more likely to bend out than these things. Again, pop it back down. quite often, yeah, it's there already, look. Quite often in Guernsey, this is the first sort of fish you'll catch as a kid. Oh, that's a little fish. But the biting was snap, snap, snappy sort of thing. It's a small Ballan Wrasse. It's got the colours of normally, quite often when you get a big Ballan Wrasse. Right. Now I know I need bait, but I think I'm going to put this one back. This is a little bit too small for me. It needs to be about double that size. Right, I'm going to get baited up and we'll get back out there. See if we can get some more. Here we go again. I'm keeping it small for the moment. We'll upgrade the baits to bigger if we start seeing bigger fish. Just a little bit of worm tipped with a bit of crab. Just for scent. Like I said, the bigger wrasse tend to be more partial to the crab than the worm. I have fished with worm on sessions before and I've caught loads of fish, but only up to sort of 3.5 pounds. As soon as you switch to crab, then you're getting your 6 and 7 pounders quite often. Or 4 pound up to sort of 7 pound. But I don't think that was the fish we caught, the one that was taking the other bait. I mean, the other baits we had were much bigger. It wouldn't have taken. There we go, look, that's a bite. That feels a better fish. Ah, it came off. It wasn't that big. I say it wasn't that big. It was bigger than the last one, but it wasn't that big. That's how big it was. Look, we actually got scales stuck on the hook. So yeah, bigger fish, but not as small as the other one. Oh, that was a solid bite that didn't connect. Gonna have to change the hook, I think. I mean, it stripped the hook again. Quite a big hook on because I haven't got anything in between. I think it's about 4 that one, but I've just upped the size of the bait. That should be fine for the large rockfish still. Maybe even for the mediums, we'll see. But that other hook, we're not hooking that well. I've got another hook, different type of hook with me as well we can use, which is smaller, but we'll see how we get on with this first. Because they're taking the whole bait off in one go, so they're getting their mouth around it. There must be not bad sized fish down there. I might have thrown that a bit close, but we'll see. I know, there's something having a go. That worked. That's better. It's not massive, but it's better, and if I can get them on that hook of that size, then that'll be fine. There you go. Another Ballan Wrasse. Right, that one I'll be keeping. I'll just put it down here now. There's a puddle behind me, or a pool. They've got really tough lips. There we go. That one's fine. That's big enough for me. Right, pop another bit of crab on. Just get rid of the legs because let the seagulls have those. Goes through the leg socket so it stays on. Probably bring it back through that one actually, like that. Perfect. Right, see if we can get a bigger one. Here we go. Oh, something snapped. Did I lose the weight or the hook or what? It actually snapped both off. I actually snapped the hook off with the strike. That was a good fish. The way that pulled down, unbelievable. Why it snapped though. It's garbage line or something. I know the weight sometimes snaps, but it's on light line, but not impressed with that. Well, try again. Whoa, I almost struck that. There we go. Damn it. Damn, he's gone into the bottom. Just what I didn't need. This is why you need heavy gear. It's not turning out too well, this. We could wait for it, but I don't know if it... So if it's gone around a bit of kelp, you see. Or if he's under a rock. Oh no, he's out, he's out, he's out. Bring this one round, I think. There we go. Thought we were going to lose that one as well to the rock. Now that's a proper rockfish, or Ballan Wrasse. That's going to be, it's not that big. I'd say that's probably a 3-pounder, somewhere around there. But that's a keeper for sure. Look at those teeth. They have those on the front, and then in their throats they've got like molars which crush up the crab. I don't know if you can see down the throat, but down the back of the throat there is more teeth. Anyway, you don't want to put your fingers in those either. They don't purposely try and bite you or anything like that, as far as I know. But if you get too close, they could do some serious damage. You see those bad boys? Huge. Right, let's get back on and try and get another one. This is what we're here for. I really thought we were going to lose that one, though. I was pleased it came out. That's why you need really heavy gear. I mean, I'm using 20-pound trace or 25-pound trace, but I'd go up as far as at least 30 on the trace and go sort of 30-40 for the main if you're fishing straight down like this. If you're casting, it's a bit difficult, but only in, like I say, really tough conditions where you've got a lot of hard ground, because these things will go straight for the rocks or straight into the weed. Right, I've got a bigger piece of bait on this time. Now I know there's some big stuff around, all big air stuff. Right, we're rebaited and ready to go. Trouble is with the short rod, you've got to kind of get it low as you can to get the strike. One having a go. I think he's on there. Yep. He was holding it, I could feel him. Yeah, that one's okay. Another fairly colourful one. You see the leg of the crab still on there. I normally take that off, but this time I just left it on. Another nice one. Now I had to made a slight mistake there. I was reeling in, and I always reel in using my thumb on here, and this time I kind of didn't, and I built up the line on the sides because I've got thick line on. But not a problem, we still got it in. So another one. This isn't the one we missed earlier is it? 'Cause this is an orange one. Just seeing if he's got any scales missing anywhere. Can't see any. Probably a different one. Although, maybe there. Right. I'll just take it over and unhook it. So you can see this reel's pretty beat up. It's been around for quite a long time. It might even actually be a rebuild of 2 reels that I had. I know I've had to replace parts in this. They have a thing which stops the little lever which stops the arm spinning backwards, and unfortunately they break. Oh, it came off. That was a big fish. The way that bent that rod, that was a real big fish. I'd say that one was probably £4 plus, the way that took it. I mean, the little ones can fight hard, but when you feel that weight on like that, you know it's a good one. Let's hope we didn't scare it away, which we probably did. It'll be back later, but by then we'll be out of bait, I think. We're going through the bait pretty damn quick. So I might go back to a smaller hook and use smaller baits, because the idea is I need to catch several of these fish for bait, not necessarily just go for a big one, which is nice, but we're not here for a trophy fish. Not today. Right, I've put a smaller hook on this time. I've put one of the bait holders on, only this is a longer one. I've used these before and they have snapped because they are quite brittle, but we'll give it a go. Like I say, it just means I can use a little bit less bait because we are starting to run a little bit low on bait. And I can use worm on this as well, on this hook. I missed it. It's only a small fish, but it's still got bait on there, so we'll chuck it back out and give it another go. It's very visible, this bait, this crab. It's very white, the velvet swimming crabs. Came towards me, that one. Got the bait. What we'll do now is we'll try a bit of... hang on, we've still got bait, have we? Let me just check this, it might just be shell. Still bait, just about, but... I wonder if we can just try something out here. Hold on. If I could get that on the point like that. Let's just try that. It's a tiny little bit. Experimentation. Just got it through the leg and through the point into the shell a bit. Now we have to strike fairly quick though if something does take it. Not necessarily this first bite, but not leave it too long. Get that slack up first. There we go. Somebody's having a go, but that's a pretty good one for that little bit of crab. Just shows you can save on your bait. This is a small one. Oh, that's not bad. Not bad. Well, that's interesting. This one's actually swallowed the hook. That doesn't normally happen with rockfish. Well, not that often. Trouble with these, I try and get the hook out. They tend to break. But we're going to keep it anyway. So. No problem. It's funny, this rod, it's somebody gave it to me, I think, this one. I never bought it, I know that. I think somebody, it was they were clearing out their house or something like that, and they said, oh, there's this rod, do you want it? I said, yeah, sure. Silver Shadow, it's called. Pier and spin. This is not a pier or spin rod, I guarantee you. I mean, look at it, it's like a broomstick. Like I said, it's more of a boat rod. I know it's got eyes for fixed spool on it, but this is definitely more of a boat rod than it is a pier rod or a spin rod, that's for sure. There's no way you'd spin with this thing. But it does the trick. Probably like the cheapest rod you could find at the time. Quite a few wasps around here. I'm thinking that they got a nest around here somewhere. I actually watched one a minute ago. He went to the crab, took a bit of the meat off the crab, rolled it up in the ball with his feet and then flew off with it. I should have filmed it, but I was just sort of, you know, staring at it, not thinking of that, thinking how cool is that? So, there you go, learn something new. Wasps eat crab. Same as wrasse do. Here we go. Oh, he's going down. No, keep him up. There we go, this one's coming up now. That's not a bad one. There we go. They're all sort of similar colours around here. Normally get a big variation in colour, but they all seem to be a sort of greeny orange. Right, I'm going to get this one unhooked. That's perfectly hooked actually, that one. Straight to the top lid. Right, let's try that. Small one. That's what happens when you put ragworm on, you tend to get smaller fish. Put crab on, you'll get the bigger fish. We're out. Small crab with a little bit of rag on. Again, that one's probably going to make 3.5 to 4 pounds. I'd say that was probably going to do 4 pounds, that one. It's a nice fish though. You see the weight? This is what got jammed. That's why it's designed to break off. So if these get in the bottom, you'll have a hard job shifting them. So we're making our way back over that way. We filled up our bucket with the big old fish that we are keeping, threw back all the small ones. And that should be plenty for now for my pots, and hopefully we'll get some nice lobsters on it, because like I say, this is probably one of the best baits for lobster. See, there's some fishermen over there in the boat getting ready to go out, do a bit of fishing. I actually got stung on the leg by a wasp a minute ago. It was It's on the trouser. As I crouched down, it must have got squashed, not killed, but it upset it enough to sting me. I thought it was going to hurt more than that. It hurts, but it's nothing really. I thought it'd be a lot worse than that. I think I've only ever been stung once before, and that was on the hand. I remember that did hurt quite a bit. Right, we'll go this way, I think. Right, well, I've decided not to fish anymore. I thought about over there, the trouble is there's too many ropes still. In another month all these ropes will come up and we'll be able to fish down here and hopefully get some good fish. Plus it's not the biggest of tides and it's not always great here when it's clear like this. But we will be back here. Anyway, it was a successful trip. We accomplished what we came here to accomplish, and that was to get some rockfish. And we had about 10, I suppose, 12, something like that. Anyway, time to go home.